So I want to start by saying I saw this TikTok like years ago, and this guy was explaining, I think he was a psychologist, he was explaining what narcissistic personality disorder is. And he said at some point in a person's childhood, they decided that their reality was untenable, like they couldn't live in it. So, narcissistic personality disorder is that person creating an alternate reality in which they live. That's where they are. So, I mean, I've seen a couple videos in the last month that, I like everybody knows that wants to know, knows that Donald Trump has some sort of narcissistic personality disorder. Like anybody who wants to pay attention, these are the people that the extremists who have convinced themselves that a guy that filed for bankruptcy 6 times has been accused of rape by like, I don't know, 30 different women, has inherited hundreds of millions of dollars from his father, who had to be continuously bailed out by his dad. And the only thing he was ever really good at was reality television and pretending to be successful. Anybody who has convinced themselves that that dude is them, like those people are not open to hearing that this guy has narcissistic personality disorder. But everybody else, it shouldn't be a huge shocker. So I saw a few things this week. I saw an interview with Trump's biographer who wrote 4 books about him. And I saw an interview with a political journalist who has also, like, I think had direct contact with Trump. I think she said she's called him on the phone. Um, and they both kind of say the same thing, which is what I've said previously. Like, Trump is here for the show. And in my opinion, what's going on right now isn't real to him. Like, I don't think that reality is this guy's friend. I don't think it ever was, but I think as he continues to rapidly decline mentally, it's even less so. Like, narcissists can't really feel empathy or compassion. So to destroy people's livelihoods doesn't mean anything to them. To sell out their country doesn't mean anything to them. So the biographer says that what Trump wants is his once a day narcissistic feeding, in which he gets to be the center of attention. He gets to put on a show in the White House. He gets to sign bills. He gets to answer questions. He continues to do that in the Oval Office every single day. The political journalist says essentially the same thing, and that is scheduled by the White House chief of staff. Okay. So the biographer also said that Elon Musk is really like running cover for Donald Trump. Like he's happy to let Elon dismantle the federal government because if and when everything blows up, he'll just blame Elon. And the political journalist essentially confirms that it's you know that's what the purpose that Elon serves. He also brings money into the situation, and that he just donated like $100 million to Donald Trump's PAC. Now, what I didn't like about this interview is how, and it's Pondering Politics, and I will like send you the link to this episode. I like the guy that does Pondering Politics. I don't have a complaint with the journalist other than she's normalizing like this entire situation. Now, she says that Trump doesn't actually think that he'll be in the White House in 2028. Steve Bannon said otherwise this week, right? Steve Bannon is actually, I think, associated with the little caucus or whatever that wants to try to undo the Constitution and install him as a dictator. Now, I don't know that that's true. I don't know that the political journalist is really like honest about like if she gets that, because he, when asked about Vance in 2028, he was like very quickly like no. So I think on some level Trump is living out his wildest dreams right now. Like he wanted to be king. And both of these, the journalist and the biographer are like, this is like the political version of The Apprentice, right? And I believe that to be true. Like, I believe all of this is a manufactured reality where he is completely disassociated from the consequences of the actions. I also believe that he's using Elon Musk to do his dirty work because, like all narcissists, the dude has to have somebody to blame. He also doesn't have the attention span and he doesn't seem to understand what's going on. And the biographer's like, from one day to the next, he's like, there is no plan. The only plan here is for him to show up, get his narcissistic feeding, and then move on to the next day. And that seems to be true because he doesn't even seem to understand what's being put in front of him half the time. And now he's saying that he didn't sign the executive order that allowed people to be sent to El Salvador, people who are not from El Salvador, people who are not criminals. All of these people, whether they're gang members or not, their due process was violated. And if it's not readily apparent, they're not just coming from like for Hispanics and Latinos here. Like there have been multiple like white people also being held in violation of due process. There was a Canadian, I think there was a German who's here legally, who is a citizen now, and or was on an appropriate visa, and the dude was tortured like for hours. He was stripped naked. White dude. So, I mean, they Trump wants that narrative that he's king and that he's outdoing everybody before him, and they don't care if they break the law to get that narrative. In the background, you have Project 2025 running, right? So you have those people that are pushing those executive orders in front of them because they want to dismantle the federal government in order to enrich themselves and privatize absolutely everything they possibly can, and install themselves as dictators eventually, you know? So, it, I mean, it's so much. I get it. It's so much. As Steve Bannon famously said earlier, they wanted to flood the zone in order to overwhelm people, but they're not. I mean, maybe some people feel overwhelmed for sure. It's so much. They are losing steam, however. They are 100% losing steam. And as they are losing steam, people are rising up. 34,000 people showed up to see Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. That's not Bernie Sanders drawing that crowd. It's AOC, and I'm here for it, all right? So, she is being viewed as the new head of the Democratic Party, and rightfully so, because she's not taking corporate money and she's here for the fight. So in the meantime, I know the creators of Project 2025 are pushing those executive orders and all of that, and happily thinking that they're dismantling the federal government, think that they're winning and it's going better than expected, but they are wrong. And that one rally alone is proof that they are wrong. This is not Nazi Germany. This is America. And it is full of people, hardworking people, who want to do the right thing and see freedom for everybody. And we are not here for the tyranny of it all. We are not here for the violation of due process of anyone. We are not here for Donald Trump's reality produced hellscape. Okay. We are not here to make Stephen Miller a king either. We are not here to make rich people richer. So it's just unequivocally not true that Project 2025 is winning. Now, I have to keep this short in order to meet that 15-minute mark. So there were other things that I originally said that I'm not going to be able to work into it. The main points are that I think the main thing that I want to convey to everybody here is that what happened with those people that are being disappeared, like there's a bunch of people from New Mexico that are apparently just gone. Um, and what happened with the flight to El Salvador and the people they dumped in that prison. It's all a violation of due process. And quite frankly, if they dumped them in El Salvador and they're being put to work, it's human trafficking, right? But laws are just openly being like broken everywhere. So there's a couple of points I need to make. One is that Anonymous came out this week and they reminded everybody that Donald Trump is not a billionaire, that he is heavily leveraged. And that explains why, he's constantly selling shit to his followers, right? Like merchandise, crypto, whatever the hell he comes up with. He's constantly selling that shit. And it makes sense because he's probably doing it in order to make the payments on his loans. Elon Musk, his stock in Tesla was what he had to his name. Like that was the bulk of his wealth. And he relies heavily on government contracts. So I saw like an interview where this guy was like, everything that Elon Musk has built in terms of business has all been built on partnerships with the government. He wouldn't have anything without that. He also wouldn't have anything without his rich father who gave him like an emerald mine or something stupid like that. He was driven out of PayPal. Like all this shit about him being a genius is public relations work. It's unequivocally not true. He couldn't even get a college degree in economics. They had to go buy him a degree, allegedly, whatever. So understand that what's being reported about these people and their money and therefore their power is not true. And also, Elon Musk is not the richest person on the planet. That's just propaganda that's being pushed to us to justify what he's doing. He's not at all. I think he's just a grifter who is willing to help sell out this country. That's my opinion. That's my speculation. That's my belief. I'm here to tell you that the Mormon Church is just one example of an entity that has more money than Elon Musk. His worth is like down to like $137 billion. The Mormons, as of like, I don't know, 2017, had $100 billion alone just in like an investment account. That's just their investments. That was predicted to be on track to earn $1 trillion. That doesn't count all the businesses and the annual income that comes in from tithing like every freaking year. So their actual net worth is considerably more than $100 billion. It's closer to that probably 1 trillion mark. So it's just propaganda day in and day out. And the other thing I want to point out in terms of propaganda is that I saw a clip with Liz Cheney, and she says, yes, there are people in the Republican Party who have drank the Kool-Aid. They've consumed it. They believe the big lie. But the majority of the Republicans don't believe the big lie. They are going along with this Project 2025 agenda. They are going along with Trump. They are normalizing the corruption and the crimes against humanity in order for their own survival, right? And I think the political journalist says it has to do with being primaried. They want to use Elon Musk's money to primary people in 2026 and to maintain control of the government nationwide, essentially. I'm paraphrasing what she said. But that is why they're not speaking up. And I don't think it has anything to do with death threats, because AOC and Jasmine Crockett and all these other people get death threats on the daily. So if they try to sing you that song, I don't believe it's true. It has more to do with maintaining political power, which is what Liz Cheney said. It's about their political power, their political future, and ensuring their own survival at the detriment of their country and fellow Americans. These are the people who are going to fold. So this is what I predict will happen. I'm about 85% right now. So this is what is going to happen sooner rather than later. So like when the election results came out, a bunch of YouTubers were like, we just got to get to the primaries in 2026. And as the time has gone on, it's become readily, I was like, no way. Like, no way. Are we doing that? Like, no. I mean, no. Like the vibe, the energy that I feel on a daily basis, it isn't going to, it's not, this is shit is not sustainable. Like everybody's so unbelievably angry. I got like some guy cut me off in a parking lot and it was ridiculous. Like I was insane. People are angry. We're not going to make it to 2026. And now everybody else is starting to see that too. We're not going to make it to 2026. So here's what I think is going to happen. I think that the people will rise up. I think that the protests will continue to grow and grow and grow as the town halls continue to get angrier and angrier and angrier, okay? And when it's apparent that people are not here for this tyranny, they're not here to be enslaved by the rich, and the rich continue to lose money. Target has lost $10.9 billion. I don't know what the number is on Bezos, but I know that Amazon is losing money. I'm personally responsible for some of that. But as the billionaires continue to lose money, the American people continue to rise up, and Elon Musk's mental health and net worth continues to deteriorate. I believe all of these things are going to culminate in them turning their backs on Donald Trump. And as we hit that peak, I firmly believe that the truth about the election interference is going to come out. Jessica has stayed on top of election interference. I'm going to put a link to her video. I think I'm almost at 15 minutes. So I predict that the billionaires will stop backing Trump. I predict that the politicians will finally fold, the ones that don't drink the Kool-Aid, and nobody will be around to protect Donald Trump from the fallout, and he will be out, as will Vance. I just predict a bunch of culminating factors at one point driven by the fact that the people are not willing to put up with